Hey, what's up, everyone? I just had to go over the George Zimmerman bond slash bail issue in the Trayvon Martin case because it's just crazy. It's just crazy that someone is given a $1 million bail. The purpose of bail is to ensure appearance. And it's not supposed to be about punishing the defendant. It's supposed to be you're innocent until you're proven guilty. Well, when you have a bail amount that's $1 million, it's way more than what he's worth. You're basically saying that we're going to give you an amount so high, you're not going to meet it. And most likely, if you're going to get a bail bondsman to post a bond for you, he's going to take 10%, which means you have to lose $100,000. And the court is thinking about this. The judge is thinking about this. They know very well if he's going to go and find a certain bondsman, he's going to pay at least $100,000 that he's not going to see back. Which means that, now, abstract this for a moment, take your feelings aside, but just think about this generally. Imagine this, whoever it is up, who's up at trial is completely innocent. Imagine that. Well, that means this person is completely innocent, has just been forced to pay $100,000 under a system where they're presumed innocent. If that doesn't sound like a taking to you of some sort, an intentional punishment, I don't know what is. And the reality is that the court has lots of other options with which to ensure appearance without having to have excessive bail, which excessive bail is what is prohibited under the 8th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. And mind you, it's excessive bail that is not allowed. It doesn't mean that bail is required. It just means that you can't give excessive bail. So in this case, going back to what I just said, the court said that he couldn't open a bank account. He has to have a daily curfew, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. He can't apply for passport. He can't drink alcohol. He must pay for his own electronic monitoring according to the court's order, by his bail conditions. So if you think about that for a second, the court can impose a whole host of things to restrict somebody from being able to leave and to ensure appearance without having to say, you owe us $1 million or a bail bondsman $100,000. So what is, what is really left then but a punishment? And that's what it is. And it's rather disgusting. It's rather scary. And a lot of people don't think about this, but there is a doublespeak about what has become of the bail system. Pretending like it's not a punishment is foolish. Just because you put it in monetary terms, the taking is a punishment because it restricts your use of those funds for your own benefit, for your own use if you want to invest it or whatever. It doesn't matter. And there's a statistical proven correlation that if you are kept because you can't afford the bail, you have a much higher chance of getting convicted because you're not able to go out and get all the facts needed to present your case. And, this goes across the board. You might think, oh, well, just guilty people or whatever, but it's not true. It's people who might be poor, people in the wrong place, wrong time. If you get stuck in jail waiting for your court date, and that could be 6 months for a felony at the least, and usually the state tries everything it can to be unscrupulous and ask for every continuance they can possibly get, and make up all sorts of excuses. I mean, unless you demand a speedy trial from the beginning, and set out the appropriate paperwork, you could be held for a very, very long time with being completely innocent. And so people need to really think about this critically and say, what the heck is going on? Because the court could have imposed all those other restrictions we just talked about curfews, radar, which is basically, getting monitored by police, having to check in every 48 hours and stuff like that. Zimmerman could have done all those things, had all those restrictions about what he can and couldn't do, and where he can and can't go in his curfew, and paid a moderate bond. In other words, maybe a couple $1,000s or something like that. I mean, shoot, even a tenth of the $1 million he could at least afford and still have money to pay for his defense. But but taking this aside, it seems very obvious, at least to me, that bail has become a punishment, and there's no way around it. And so taking aside, people want to complain about, oh, he's a liar, he covered up his funds. I mean, I think anybody would be pretty scared, wondering what the court's going to do about, you know, taking their money, and the expenses they might need. Of course, they were worried that the court might try to take it. The irony is that their fears came true. And even before then, the bond that they had before was, you know, what, 150,000 or something like that. It wasn't exactly a small bond bail to begin with. So I think this is a really good proof of what the courts are doing, and this is just a bigger scale of it. But you know, it happens all the time, and it doesn't take $1 million to make the average person go bankrupt. There's enough people who live paycheck to paycheck, or very minimally, where, you know, even 10, 20, 30,000, you know, if they have to pay that up front, or they have to get a bond for a bail bondsman, you know, that could be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 that they're gone, no more money, because it goes to the bondsman. And the courts know this. They know that they are squeezing people for money, one way or the other. It's a punishment. So, you know, if you want to make another comparison, you know, what if the court said, okay, we're going to take your car, we're going to take your house, you're going to be homeless for the next, you know, 3 to 6 months, because we're going to take your house from you to make sure you come to court. It's just that bad. I mean, the $1 million is a lot more than his house, I'm fairly certain, based on, you know, things I've read in news stories. So, you know, think about this critically, and really work toward changing, you know, the system of bonds. Sorry, bail, because it is really destroying people's lives, especially those who are innocent, or maybe they're not really guilty of the full front of what they're, you know, being charged, because the state can charge a whole bunch of different things to trump it up for the purpose of a bail hearing and determination. So, you know, think critically, realize that, you know, there are bigger things beyond just this immediate emotional media frenzy about George Zimmerman to think about. There's the real long-term issue that the courts are literally stuffing and canning people who are supposed to be presumed innocent until guilty by completely knowingly charging crazy high bail amounts that the average person just doesn't have. They just don't have it. And even the money that they could get as, you know, a percentage to give to a bail bondsman could very well put them completely under the water. It's a really backwards system, and the American justice system is not this beacon that it ever was imagined. It's there is a lot more complications and sinister things being done, all under the flag of, you know, equal and fair justice. It's just not what it seems. So if you have any questions or comments, please send them my way, and share with me in the frustration with the courts just granting ridiculously excessive bail for nothing. It really doesn't change anything when you have these other conditions to implement, especially things like radar, where someone wears a band and has to check in with their officer every, you know, 40 hours, 24 hours, whatever. And that could even be told to the, you know, defendant, make the defendant pay for it. But do you really need $1 million otherwise to do that? Is this, you know, we know what's going on. The courts are playing games. So, all right, take care, everybody.